And welcome back
Hello.
to Flip That Tea.
And for once, one of us is actually drinking tea and not coffee.
Yes, for once.
Both of us are. I am the one that drinks coffee, mostly. You don't like coffee.
No, not a fan of coffee.
No, that's fine. It's not for everybody.
Gives me the jitters. Also, this is like the first time we said the title of our show, like in the intro.
Oh, it's fine. This kind of stuff happens all the time. We're still adjusting. Forewarning, there is going to be a video that is old now. It's been filmed, over 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, we have kind of inconsistent, we record on consistent times, we just forget to post on consistent times.
Well, in our defense, I'm going to lower this just a hair. There we go. Because I was worried it was going to fall. In our defense, the internet has a bad habit of buffering when there's multiple people on, and his mom works from home full-time and needs the internet, so...
Yeah,
it'll buffer, and then we film on Tuesdays, and we work Wednesday through Saturday, usually. So it's usually around those days when we forget.
Yeah, but, that stuff kind of happens. But now I think...
We're figuring out a good rhythm.
Yeah, I think we got the rhythm down. I think we're going to get back on it once we get back in film a day. Might try to film 2 videos.
Yeah, we're going to try to bulk film a little bit, especially with the holidays just around the corner.
Yeah.
I know you might not know, a lot of stuff about it, but there is usually, Vlogmas that goes on where people, film whatever it is that they're doing for the holidays. And I know we can do that, and we can split it into, different videos. There'll be small, short videos, like baking cookies, making salto ornaments, decorating the tree, and I'm probably going to start that on my own channel for Stressed Badger, from where I'm making stuff for your nephews.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Because his Christmas present's already done.
Yeah. But today's topic
is toxic fan bases or fandoms.
Yes.
I'm going to go on ahead and say that this might be a part 1.
Might be a part 1. It's definitely a touchy subject because when you hear stuff like that, if you're part of that fan base, it's not you yourself particularly that could be the toxic
It's the people around you.
It could just be a mass group that kind of cultivates in it, because every fan base has that kind of...
Yeah, there's always a black and white consistency when it comes to fan bases.
Yes.
You have the section that's really good, and then you have the section that is really bad, and nobody talks about the middle where it's just gray, where you agree with one side, you don't agree with the other, but you let bygones be bygones, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a very interesting kind of heated discussion.
I want to add, if we are a part of that fan base, where our stance is.
Yes, that's definitely a good one. And I think we should start off with probably the most toxic out of, I think, in my opinion, all the fan bases, and that'd be Star Wars.
Yes. It is not only toxic to a certain extent, it is also extremely sexist, extremely racist, extremely problematic, and it is just the fans. This has nothing to do with...
Star Wars is the only... I honestly think and this is we're not the only ones talking about this either. There are tons of other channels who have way more subscribers and other stuff like that. They've talked about this before.
This is just stuff we like to talk about.
Star Wars fans are the only people
that hate themselves.
That hate Star Wars. Literally, there's no one that hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. It is, for my years of being a part of Star Wars, which was since I first watched Phantom Menace back in
Phantom Menace was early 2000s.
Came out
right, because that...
It came out the 90s, but it came out with reruns.
What episode was that?
That was episode 1 with Darth Maul and stuff like that. That was kind of the hate.
That's right, yeah, because it goes... Remind me again how it goes. It goes Phantom Menace.
Yeah, it goes Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. Then we have...
New Hope.
Empire Strikes Back. Or no, yeah, Empire Strikes Back. No, am I getting mixed up?
Hang on. That's what I'm here for.
Well, while she looks it up.
Yeah.
To pretty like I've been part of the fan base for a long time, and I'm someone who's kind of part of like the minority group of like who really likes the expanded lore.
Okay.
You found it?
Yeah, but the bad thing is that it also includes like the new movies too.
Well, yeah, of course.
So
I'll get to that
like,
in just a second.
Well, hold on. So the original 4. I'm going to call it the original 4. Those are the ones from, so like episode 1 to episode 6.
Okay.
Or not 6. 5. Because 6 is...
4, 5, and 6. And then it went to 7, 8, and 9, because Force Awakens was part 7.
Was it 4, 5? Yeah, it was 4, 5, and 6. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Because that's the sequel trilogy.
It also doesn't help that it's not in order of, like... Yoda was in charge of putting this list together. Yeah. So, technically speaking, episode 1, Phantom Menace, was in 99. I was 1. He wasn't born yet.
I wasn't born yet. But I watched that like in 2008, 2009.
Attack of the Clones was 2002. Revenge of the Sith was 2005. And then we go back to the 70s, 80s, and 83 for 4, 5, and 6, which is A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
And then it goes into the new stuff, which we
sequel
will complain about that as well.
Prequels, other stories, standalones, all that stuff. That's a whole...
Other can of worms.
Other can of worms that I will talk about a little bit, but I don't think I will take up the entirety of this video.
No, that I think could be a video in and of itself.
Yeah, that might be a more me-led video, but... I think the whole toxicity with Star Wars all started when the prequel trilogy came out.
Oh, absolutely.
When that prequel trilogy first came out, that's when it started to get really bad, because there was the whole side of people hating the politics side, the massive hate of Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my god, the massive hate that Jar Jar as a character got in general. He was annoying as shit, don't get me wrong. But when you, as a fan base, bully the actor, it's like Game of Thrones. When you bully the actor to the point of, like, wanting to quit or wanting to take their own life. Yeah. Like, it wasn't just Jar Jar. It was Hayden Christensen. It was Ewan McGregor. It was Natalie Portman. Very young Natalie Portman. She was, like, what, 16?
16, 19, I thought.
She might... No, because Keira Knightley was 16. Because she was 18 when Pride and Prejudice came out, which was 2005. That's right. Or something like that. Or the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
But even, like, just, like...
The kid that...
Oh, yeah, I won't even get into that whole...
That's a totally different video.
That's going to be its own video talking about that.
But, like, when you, as a fandom, like, with the Harry Potter fan base, I'm in the Harry Potter fan base, and so are you. Like, they bullied the actress that played Umbridge to the point where she was completely rethinking whether or not she wanted to act. Yeah. This, again, the same with Game of Thrones. The point I was making with, what's his name, Joffrey?
Yeah, he hasn't gone back to acting
I can't blame him.
No, like, he fully quit. The only two things he's done was Game of Thrones and when he was that child in the first Batman movie. That was it. Like... He was the little kid that Batman gave his device to when his parents were arguing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Like, that was his first appearance in film.
Wow.
Which sucks, too, because he would have made, like, a great Draco, I kind of feel like.
Oh, yeah.
But, no, getting a little sidetracked.
Sorry.
Yeah, that kind of started there, which sucks, too, because I honestly really like the prequel trilogy. And kind of what's funny, you mentioned Game of Thrones. Everybody loves Game of Thrones because they love, like, the inner workings behind the scenes and the politic thing.
But that was why they hated
and that's why they hated Star Wars. But now people have gone...
The original 3 or New Hope and all that.
Yeah.
The beginning.
Yeah.
Episodes 1 through 3.
And now people have gone back and be like, yeah, I like the prequels now. Because, like, they hate the sequel trilogy more. Which that also started a whole new can of worms. Because the sequel trilogy, Force Awakens was good. It was decent, at least, because it was just reusing the first original story.
Yeah, that's all it felt like was.
It was just
New Hope through
yeah.
a different lens, but it wasn't in the way of like exploring this brand. I mean, it was in the way of like exploring this brand new character that we were all thinking like Rey was supposed to be, like she was supposed to be like related to Obi-Wan Kenobi, or she was something to do with even Luke and Leia, or even Han.
I think we're jumping ahead a little bit too. Little. Just like with Force Awakens, the reason why it got the popularity it got, though, was because the name of what it is Star Wars, and the fact that J.J. Abrams was attached to the project. Like, that's what got it going, because J.J. Abrams is famous for, obviously, other movies he's done. I think he's a great director, even though I haven't watched a ton of his movies. But I know that he's mostly famous for the Star Trek trilogy, the new generation. And so that's kind of his...
Yeah, I don't know anything about Star Trek other than...
I don't either. That wasn't a fan base that I kind of got into, but that's something that like people were excited about because it was J.J. Abrams, so they knew what he was capable of. And in fairness, the first one did decently fine, you know?
Oh, yeah. When the first one came out, we were so excited about the way that...
Yeah, exactly.
This new trilogy was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And even the actresses, or the actors and the actresses were, like, absolutely ecstatic about it.
And then Last Jedi came out.
Yeah.
That literally, I think, began the shitstorm on Disney. Kathleen Kennedy, decision-wise, businesses, all of it. Like, it just got bad. With directors quitting through mid-productions...
And you can tell.
The horrible work they've done, and the fan base just not just appreciating it at all. And then we get to the last one, which also wasn't good, because then you had many more issues they had. Throw in plot devices, random romances, dropped characters and plots that could have been good, which then were just thrown into the shitter. Like they just meant nothing. And what you get after that is a very bitter fan base now, because everybody, because after that you have Clone Wars, which everybody loves. Everybody universally loves Clone Wars. It's a great series. Dave Filoni, who is a mad genius and is honestly the next George Lucas, who's done absolutely fantastic to keep this series going. When
we talk negatively about the movies and the shows, we're not going after the Dave Filoni, we're not going after George Lucas, we're not going after them, we're going after the poor writers and the president of the
former president,
which
was her name was Kathleen Kennedy, for some people that don't know. She was the runner, the president of Lucasfilms for a while, but then they kind of they said they were Disney said they were silently distancing themselves from her, which meant they were just saying they were firing her.
Yeah,
that's their polite way of saying.
They didn't want to speak out on it.
That was their polite way of saying they're just going to fire her because the fan base wasn't happy with her. But then, now that she's gone,
it's so much better.
It has gotten better, but there hasn't been any healing though, because this is where I'm going to lead into where the toxicity was coming from. A lot of people got really, really, really bad with Boba Fett when that came out, because they were just it's just Mandalorian season 3, because the last couple episodes were trying to set up for Mandalorian, which I think is ridiculous, because I will admit Boba Fett had some issues, but there are, and I can vouch for this, a lot of people that love Boba Fett for what he is, for what character he is, from comics and books and all that stuff, Legends and canon, for those who know what that is. Legends is the non-canon. Canon is the connected to the movies and all the other stuff. They love Boba Fett, and they were, me and everyone else was extremely excited to see Boba Fett. The references they threw in, him riding on a Rancor, which is a blatant reference to the animated Christmas special they came out with a while back ago, where he was riding the Vivasaur and stuff, which was everybody was oh my god, that's it may not be the same thing, but it's close enough and stuff. But everyone just was shitting on it because there's they were oh, it's not Mandalorian. And then we get to Obi-Wan, which before even that show even came out, it was getting bashed for random assortment of reasons.
As somebody who hasn't watched it, I've only watched clips of it. That's how I know about like the actress for young Leia, who did phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, she was wonderful.
Anybody that says that that little girl doesn't deserve any amount of the recognition that she has gotten from playing Princess Leia is wrong. Because Carrie Fisher would be extremely proud of the way that she portrayed Leia.
I think so too. I wish she got a chance to meet her.
I know.
Like,
and I hope
that would have been awesome.
That in the future, if they decide to do something where it revolves around like teenage Leia or anything like that, growing up. But I really hope that actress sticks.
Yes.
But didn't even Mark Hamill start talking about like the new generation of actors coming into the Star Wars universe, saying that like, you know, be talking to the fan base, be respectful, don't, if you like, talking about the little boy that played Anakin from the prequels, saying that if you act like this again, then don't call yourself a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, like it's those people like have no. They're just shameful people. It doesn't even help. It's not even just those weren't even fan base for the kid. It was just also people behind the scenes. But again, that's another video for another time. But as we continue forward, then we have more of the toxicity with like just how the books and comics were being handled, lore changes, this and that, how Disney like handles their marketing and other stuff like that, and then like the last season of Mandalorian, people are saying it was terrible, but other people saying it was great. It led to this massive divide on the internet, and then it's became like Star Wars fans have almost became alienated now by the rest of like other people because of like how much toxicity is, the animosity, this and that, good people trying to just enjoy Star Wars, people who only watch Star Wars like the movies like you and just like want to enjoy a story about me who likes the expanded lore and books and stuff like that. And it's just like at the and then my kind of final note, and I'll let you go. Like,
sorry,
no, it's fine. I want to get this final note is Star Wars fans want Star Wars to be something they in their own mind want to be. But when it's like the ones who do own the property and rights to it, even when it's George Lucas himself who says this is right or wrong, they'll get pissed. They'll still argue and get pissed at it because it's like to them it's like, oh, that's not my Star Wars. What is your Star Wars then? Because literally they can do whatever they want with it. It's their own story. It's like when a company comes up with their own fantasy movie, and they come out with a sequel and someone's like, oh, that's not how my movie went. This is totally different. It's like, who says it's yours? They just came out with one movie. They don't have anything to go off. Like, it's just really ridiculous.
The Star Wars fan base, especially obviously like the toxic side of it, is essentially like, you know, if you would ever wear like a band hoodie or a like t-shirt to school, and there were those pricks that would come up to you in the hallway, name 5 songs, but it can't be like well-known songs. Like I listen to My Chemical Romance, and I listen to a lot of like their basic songs, so like Black Parade and Teenagers and all that kind of stuff, and the amount of times I would be like, oh yeah, I like them, I like Black Veil Brides or something like that. I don't look like the kind of person who listens to that music. Yeah,
do I look like the kind of person that listens to Johnny Cash or fucking Holly Berry?
No,
and so like
still, but anybody who thinks like, you know, you need to name, you know, 5 songs. Oh, you're so basic. That kind of like the toxic fanboy, and I am genderizing it because the amount of women that like Star Wars will not openly say that they do because it's that way when it comes to the fan base. It's like if you go up to somebody in high school and you say that you like anime. My introduction to anime was Black Butler. When I said I liked Black Butler, people were like, oh, so you're only into the sexy shit, which is weird. Very weird.
And like my first introduction to anime as a show, because I first got into movies with Studio Ghibli.
Oh yeah.
Which there's no toxicity in that at all, because everybody loves that shit. But
If there is, we don't acknowledge it. Not in this household.
I mean, it's minuscule at best.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, like, anime is kind of more like anime as a whole, and genres are different. But my introduction was Neon Genesis Evangelion, which that has a bit of a mark, because, one, people will begin to assume my age because it's an old anime, and only well, it doesn't help. But, you know, that's just one that's like, oh, you're just into the real psychological robot anime. And
which is not the case.
Well, in fairness, they kind of hit the nail in the coffin on that one.
It's not the case, especially when you're first getting into a fan base. So back to the Star Wars one, I watched Star Wars because my dad really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad was a kid in the 70s and 80s. He was a teenager. So, like, all that fantasy stuff was stuff that he absolutely loved. So entering into that kind of fan base in school, especially high school, is already toxic enough, and middle school is already toxic enough.
Oh,
God, in the fan base of liking something that at any point in time somebody's going to consider that it's a niche like. It's not a niche like. Anything that you think is unique and different, it's not unique and different. I guarantee it's been done before. But, like, saying that, like we watch we watch the Batman cartoon, the original Batman cartoon.
Yeah, the one
Mark
that
Hamill as Joker, and Mark Hamill also voiced Firelord Ozai in Avatar: Last Airbender, which was the one voice aside from Joker that always stuck with me. And I would go like, oh yeah, I love Mark Hamill, like he's my favorite, and people would be like, oh well, I bet you can't name characters aside from Luke and Joker and Ozai.
And then also,
why do I have to?
Yeah, why do you have to? Also, can you? Because let's be real, he hasn't done many other roles other than those.
He sticks so well with Joker.
But
I think Mark was in an episode of Criminal Minds.
He was in an episode of Criminal Minds. He's been in a couple episodes of the Flash, the CW Flash, which everyone was just wanting a live action Joker from that. Let's be real.
I'm gonna discuss like the way like the toxicity of the fan base has affected the actors. Like I said in the beginning, like a lot of actors have like chosen whether or decided to choose if they want to step away from acting just based on how people receive one character, like Umbridge and Joffrey. And honestly, let's talk about Harrison Ford for Han Solo, who he did not like as a character and was so excited for his demise.
Which was super funny. And honestly, like, on the, like, kind of like backtracking a little bit on that subject of anime, this kind of makes me realize a massive problem with toxicity too are gatekeepers.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially towards women. It's so bad with like the anime genre. It's terrible.
That was going to be my next topic, was because of the fact that I already know. I read a bit about everything that Carrie Fisher had in her book, not including her affair with Harrison Ford, but because they did screw around.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't give less of a shit about people talking about it, to be honest. But I remember her on like the roast talking about how like George Lucas didn't allow like her to wear a bra or something like that,
just something that was like funny, like
but then again at the same time people will also like Comic-Con. I would love to be able to go.
I would too.
I would never dress in costume.
No.
Never dress in costume. Because there has to be a disclaimer for people not to look up people's dresses. Like, I know on TikTok, if you're familiar with Comic-Con, there's somebody going around complaining because they didn't win like one of the costume competitions because they had like all this fabric and it was just this really big elaborate like character. I don't know the character, but the costume was fantastic, but they didn't win, so they were shitting on the winner. They were saying like doxing them. Actors and con goers have been like doxed, they've been stalked, they've been harassed, they've been just either because of the way that they've portrayed a character in person or because of the way the actor has portrayed a character.
Yeah.
to the point where, and if you're not familiar with what doxing is, it's when your personal information gets put out onto the internet, and anybody who hates you gets a hold of that. Like, people will, if you're familiar with streamers on Twitch, people have been doxed on there, where they will get swatted, where a SWAT team will get called to their house, either for, like, a bomb threat, or for, like, keeping somebody hostage, something stupid that, there's a gnat in the bedroom, that, people will think is a way to get back at the actor, or some kind of shit. But the fan base was also extremely toxic when the sequels were coming out for like shit. What was it again? Force Awakens. Yeah. Because the actress, what's her name? Daisy something?
Daisy Ridley. She got fantastic. Slammed.
She got
so bad though.
Absolutely. Her and Adam Driver. Mm-hmm. And like, one of the big things that both of them, as the actors, wanted for their characters was no romance. They didn't want any romance in it. They didn't want it to be like another like Padme and Anakin story or anything like that. And of course, the shitty-ass writers and directors went exactly for that. But then people don't realize that you can take that aggression out on the directors and on the producers and on the editors and on the writers. And they solely go after the actors and actresses to the point where they decide that they don't want to act anymore.
In this case, it's honestly more Kathleen Kennedy's fault.
Oh yeah, in this case, it's definitely the ex-president of the franchise that absolutely tanked her career.
Yeah,
I am all for like women-led roles, and I know you are too when it comes to certain things.
My favorite is still Aliens with Sigourney Weaver.
Of course, because you're a Sigourney Weaver fanboy.
Mm-hmm. That was the first movie I watched with a strong female role too.
But you've also been surrounded by strong women 90% of your life.
Yeah, most of my household is filled with just strong, very independent ladies. So, this one right here.
Look at your mom. Look at your sister. Look at your friends.
Look at my grandmother. My lineage. I have a lineage of Italian grandmothers that are independent as shit.
Oh, yeah.
One of them beat my great-grandfather with a wooden spoon.
I had aunts and whatnot that went after their husbands with, like, skillets and frying pans.
Yeah.
But, like, when it gets to the point in just about any fan base, when the fans become so toxic where voice actors, actresses, when they start to question their own self-worth, is when, like, it is insane. Like, we just finished Ahsoka, and
it was a great show.
The response to seeing Ahsoka in, what was it, Mandalorian? With de-aged Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker again, having those two interact. And this is older Ahsoka, so she knows everything that happened with Darth Vader. She knows everything that happened with Anakin. She understands everything that's going on. And it's Rosario Dawson. I knew her from Persephone from the Percy Jackson franchise. The two movies that came out that nobody liked. Yeah. But she did phenomenal as Ahsoka. And the amount of shit that I saw online talking shit about her, and even her going, you know what, I think I might take a break from acting because the response for Ahsoka wasn't as well received as I thought it was going to be, was heartbreaking. Yeah. Because she's a phenomenal actress. And I personally, not knowing a lot about the character other than what you've told me, you haven't fun there. And watching the bits and pieces of the Clone Wars cartoon series, I thought she did fucking phenomenal. Yeah. And the actress that played young Ahsoka in the flashback episode with Hayden Christensen, when Hayden popped up, my TikTok was flooded, and it still is, with Anakin love. Everybody and their mother fucking loves Anakin right now.
Yeah, it's great too because they done such a phenomenal job. But
and when Ewan McGregor came back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, everybody was like, finally, he's back. Like, everyone was so excited. And then you get on the toxic side of everything, and they're like, oh, I can't believe that this old man is back. I can't believe that Hayden's back. I can't believe that they thought that.
The show with that toxicity was more towards the girl, the antagonist and stuff. That's just a whole can of worms, which honestly I want to dedicate to an episode to that, of how much that was terrible, but
we will definitely also talk about the toxicity when it comes to the Marvel franchise and everything as well. This is mainly just like episode 1 Star Wars.
I was actually going to say, because we have a few minutes left, there are 2 quick ones I guess we can mention before we have to end this.
We're trying to keep it under a certain time.
Yeah. The console wars. PlayStation versus Xbox.
Oh, for the love of all that is holy.
And Marvel versus DC fans.
Oh yeah. Those will definitely be like more
to quickly
topics.
Say, I have a Xbox, not a PlayStation. I have an Xbox, a PC, and a Switch.
I have had a PlayStation. My ex was a PlayStation buff. Mm-hmm. His friends were Xbox buffs. He had a PC. I have my Xbox, I have my Switch. Those are the only 2 things I tend to game on, and I know how to play on your PC. And
what I'm going to quickly say before we end this video, you're all a bunch of fucking babies for the console wars. Every single one of you suck for starting it because it literally does not fucking matter.
It
PlayStation,
really
you have just as equal amount of shitty games on your console as Xbox does. Because not all of you don't have only just exclusive games. Yeah, you have Spider-Man and God of War and Crash and Banjo-Kazooie and all this other shit. Cool. Xbox has Halo. It has the Wolfenstein series. It has plethora of other Xbox exclusive like games that have made them huge. But guess what, assholes? Cross-platforming is a thing. And also, we are both idiots because PC's a thing that runs better, looks better, and 99% of the time I am playing a farming game on my freaking Switch.
Which one?
Paleo Pines.
I figured.
Actually, no, that's on my Xbox. Never mind.
Yeah. You play Animal Crossing on your Switch.
Yeah.
Or
and I have Kaiju Rancher, or I'm playing Monster Hunter, or Smash Bros. So just in my final words, end the console debate, and no one cares. Even the people who own consoles, or the companies that make consoles, think you're idiots too. Anyway.
Actually, I'm okay going to the 40-minute mark, if you don't mind me taking over for just like a
minute. Yeah, go right ahead.
The hypersexualization when it comes to female-led characters, and especially when it comes to Star Wars, is insane to me. Like, people, I mean, obviously there's, Carrie Fisher in the gold bikini when she's Slave Leia, which everybody, of course, went nuts for, which she was beautiful, so understandably so, they would go nuts for it. But it became the point of, like, they wouldn't accept a new female Jedi.
Yeah.
When Rey had an attachment to the Force because of the fact that she was a woman. Mm-hmm. But yet these same people who say that, like, women's place is not in, like, comic books or, like, in Star Wars or in Marvel or anything like that, because I do want to get into the Marvel stuff. That's more my lane. Yours is the comic book stuff. But the people who were like, women have no place in comic books, they have no place in Star Wars, they have no place in Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, anything like that, because I know Rings of Power, that actress that played young Galadriel also got a shit ton of hate.
We haven't even talked about that.
We're just scraping the surface. We're starting with Star Wars, so this is definitely going to be part 1. But when it got to the point of the fact that they were like, I see a strong female character and I can't hypersexualize her, so therefore feminism is the problem, you're all a bunch of freaking pigs and you really need to reevaluate yourselves, because you are also the same people who are like, oh, I don't have a girlfriend who's into the same stuff as me. And then you want to cry and boohoo around because you can't find a girl that is interested in the same stuff that you are. It's because you're a prick. Yeah. It's the same people that are like, oh, you're part of, like, you really like this one band. Name 5 of their, least known songs. What's the band, or what's the drummer's, underwear that he wore at this fucking tour or something like that. It's always that niche shit that pisses me off. So I will hardly ever announce that I am in a fandom. I will say I'm interested in something, and then people can either argue amongst themselves in my comment section, or if they want to bring their toxicity, they're going to get blocked and deleted. I wish I could do that with people in real life.
God, the world would be such a better place.
But, like, this is Daredevil sweatshirt, right?
Yeah, this is Daredevil one.
Yeah, when Charlie Cox came back for Daredevil, people were also throwing shit at him because of his age.
Yeah.
Which made no fucking sense.
If you want to throw shit at Daredevil, throw shit at the Ben Affleck one. That one movie sucked.
Thank you. But I just wanted to get my opinion out there for when it comes to the hypersexualization and people blaming feminism. You're not blaming feminism. You're blaming the patriarchy for the way that your brain is wired to think. But your brain is wired that way because of the media that you consume. If you only consume a hypersexualized or hyper, like, male-focused media, like people saying that, Marvel fans only like we only like Chris Evans when he has a shirt off, or Chris Hemsworth, or Chris Pratt, and there's the Chris's. Only like them, like when they're showing their abs and all that kind of stuff. That is not something that's attractive to me.
We need, that's actually a good video idea for us to do. We need to look at the history of like that stuff, because like this kind of started way back in like, I want to say like in like the 60s to 70s.
Oh, like, yeah, because even the creators of the comic books, like Stan Lee and...
no, I mean, like, in general, like, the women sexualization, all that stuff, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you look at, like, a good example would be, like, some, like, the old horror movies, like Friday the 13th and, like, Michael Myers.
Yeah, the stupid shit of, like, the kids being caught by the killer when they're, they can't keep it in their pants, they have to do it, the teenage hormones are insane. I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, or,
it makes me want to rip out my hair.
Or, like,
there's always a shower scene where the killer is, like, pulling the Psycho thing, where they, like, whip back the shower curtain and they got a knife or the hammer, the axe or something. They're hiding in the bathroom, they're all meek and scared, and
Yeah, or, like, another example, too, is, like some of, like, the old fantasy movies and stuff, because, like...
the damsel in distress shit.
Yeah, like, stuff like that, because, like, there's some movies that, like, have the sexualization, but it's different, like Conan, for example, like... But, well, that's, like, we're getting into a whole other topic, and we're already at the 36 mark, so I think this is
I think this is a good place to stop, too. But,
yeah.
That is an introduction into the topic. Yep.
Yeah, that one. Toxic fan bases and all that other jazz and whatnot. I think this is a good, this will be a very interesting series to dive in deeper into more.
I might actually pop over on my, channel and have, like, the feminist talk about all that stuff on my own stuff, because of the fact that is usually what my brand has been surrounding, is that, equalism and feminism aren't bad. It's it's the way, like, media has forced men's brains to be wired, and thankfully you're not a part of that male population. But yeah, if you guys want to go follow me on there, it is Stress Badger. I'll leave it in the link in the description. You also, are you wanting to do anything on your channel, your personal channel?
I haven't started anything yet. Once I get that, then I'll start advertising myself at some point.
I do think I might make a TikTok for us. That way we can do, like, the cute couples stuff. I am Stress Badger on TikTok as well.
I am Rylan Randoms.
Yep.
That's mine. We'll probably put some links.
Yeah, I can put links when I edit. But I think that's it. I think we're good.
All right. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, sucker punch that like, and drop kick that bell. I don't know. Gotta get them to really want to hit it, you know?
You're pulling a Sean.
I am a Sean.
You are a Sean. You very are.
There's a gnat in here. I'm gonna go kill this gnat once we're done.
Oh yeah, quick little update. If you stayed to this and you watched our last video of us painting and carving pumpkins, we did not get to finish the product because of the fact that they molded. So we might do, like, a small little thing on Halloween itself, which is next week, where we might set up the camera and, like, paint and talk about, like, our favorite scary movies or all that kind of stuff. So feel free to stick around for that, and